Hello and welcome to lesson 10, 11 and 12. Lesson 10 is all about merging cells and how you go about merging and centering. Lesson 11 is all about text orientation. How do you move text from horizontal to vertical? Lesson 12 is all about wrapping text. But I thought I'd just jump in here just to see how you're getting on. Hopefully, if you've been watching this from the beginning, from lesson 1, then you're enjoying the course and picking up some tips. If you haven't started from the beginning, I'll put a link at the top here and I'll put a link in description to the playlist so you can actually start the course from the beginning. In this lesson, I'd like to look at merging cells. I've put an extra row at the top so that I can put a heading above this item 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the first thing to do is click into the cell above item 1, highlight across, and then come up to your Home tab and come and click Merge and Center. So you just click that button, and what that does, it merges all of those 4 cells together. So I can now type a heading above that, so I might put product description and then enter, and let's just make the text a bit bigger and we'll have a background color. What will happen is whatever size these columns are, that heading will stay centered across those 4 columns. So if I make this one a bit wider, you can see how that stays centered. So merging and center is great for presentation purposes. It's not so good if you're going to use the data for analysis, so just be a bit wary of that. Let's just go across to the tab down here that says merge. I'm going to merge a heading above all of these headings here, so let's just highlight these and make them bold so that you can see them. I'm going to put an extra row in, so if you remember, Control Shift and plus, or Control plus if you're using a numeric keypad, then highlight the cells above your data, click Merge and Center, and now we could put the heading of our spreadsheet or our company name, whatever you want at the top. Again, I can colour the background so it does that one merge cell, can make the text bold and maybe a bit bigger, and we've got a nice heading above our data. So really simple. But if you need to unmerge cells, let's go back onto that merge cell, just drop this arrow down next to merge cells and you've got an unmerged cells, and if I click that, it just takes the cells back to individual cells, and because that title was centered, it's still centered in A1. So if I just left justify that, there it is in A1, and if I just double click, you can see that that's now taking the width of A1. Merging and centers, great. Let's just do it once more. Highlight those, click merge and center, and there it is. In this lesson, I'd like to have a quick look at text orientation. In this example here, you can see that we've got several columns that have just single digits in, and I'd like to keep these columns the same width. The problem here is that the headings are too wide for the columns. So what we can do is change the orientation of these headings. If we highlight and select the cells with the headings in, Microsoft have got some presets that we can use. So if we come up on the Home tab to this command here called orientation, that's the one with the A, B and the arrow pointing up to the right, click that and you can see that we've got several choices. So if we take the first choice, which is angle counterclockwise, that turns all the text to 45 degrees. But obviously in this case it's still a bit too wide for the columns, so the one that I would probably pick for this one is rotate text up, and that moves the text right round. And if we make the text bold and maybe centered, we can now see that we've maintained the width of the columns and we've got the headings in there. On top of these presets, Microsoft have given us the ability to change the angles manually. The way to do this is click the dialog launcher on the alignment set of commands. So we click that and it opens the Format Cells dialog box on the alignment tab, and over here on the right we can actually pull this round here by holding the left mouse button down and select the actual angle that we would like in degrees. For example, if I put that on 15 degrees and click OK, you can see that it's turned the text round to 15 degrees. If we open up the dialog box again, not only can you pull this arrow round here to align the text, you can actually set the degrees. So I can type the degrees that I'd like, let's say 40 degrees, and click OK, and that turns your text round to 40 degrees. So there's your orientation command. In this lesson I just want to go over how to wrap text. Now, wrapping text is where a sentence or words get to the end of a page and automatically goes down to the next line. But in the case of a spreadsheet, we want that to happen at the end of the cell. So if we look at the headings we've got up here, the headings are larger than the actual width of the columns. So to wrap the text here, we're going to highlight the headings, and then on your home tab there's a command called wrap text. Just come up there and click that, and you'll see that this text is now wrapped round inside each cell. We can do the same for these headings down the left hand side. If we highlight them all and then come up and click wrap text, and you'll see that the height of the rows change to allow for the text to wrap around inside each of these cells. There is an issue that some people have with this, and that's that sometimes the wrap doesn't happen in the place that you want it to. So if I just go over to a blank sheet here and give you an example, if I type in here town Milton Keynes and press enter and wrap that text, you'll see that it wraps based on the width of the column. If I start to open that column up, you'll see that we've got now town Milton and then Keynes on the next line. And if I keep opening that up, as soon as there's room, it would just go down to one line. And there are occasions when you want the wrap to happen in a certain place, for example after the word town. So I'm going to show you now how to force a wrap at any point. So let's start typing the same into another cell, town. So I've got that far. Now I want to wrap at the end of town. So what you do is hold your Alt key down and press enter, and that forces a wrap at that point. And now type the rest of your words, and now press enter to enter into that cell. And if I now make that column even wider, you'll see that it stays wrapped at that point after town. So don't forget to have a practice, and remember it's the Alt key along with the enter key, so it's Alt plus enter to force a wrap.